forgot about Batza.
Let's get started. Even though y'all are taking prime form really seriously and packing the class to the left, right?
Oh my God.
Okay. Well, it's the first thing I thought of. Let's see. Is this recording?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Hi, everybody. Hi, class. Today we're going to continue our discussion of serialism, and we're going to practice doing our first 12 count of a piece. I have a couple of logistics to discuss first. Our scavenger hunt is now due Wednesday for unforeseen circumstances. It is now due Wednesday before class. As in 7 days from now Wednesday, not today Wednesday. Also, don't forget your composition project information is now on Blackboard. Next Wednesday, in our individual sections, we are also going to discuss our plans for those composition projects together as a class. So I'm going to go through and ask individuals in my section, what are you planning on doing? What styles are you using for your piece? What instruments are you writing for, etc. So, you should certainly have something to say when I ask you, right? Good. On Wednesday, also next week, I'm going to ask you about your composition projects. Sound good? And of course, they're due April 27th. Second to the last day of class is when we'll be presenting our composition projects, as well as the last day of class. Okay. So today, we're going to do two things, I hope. We're going to start by looking at our homework for next class. This is due Monday. I've uploaded it to Blackboard already, and you should see it on there. And note that I have gone through and highlighted certain parts of it, just like last time. And you're only to do the parts I've highlighted, because otherwise the assignment will be quite cumbersome and practice some skills I'm not sure that we need to focus on right now. So, let's start by doing a 12 count of a piece. And by doing a 12 count of a piece, I mean we're going to look at a piece for which we have a tone row, and we're going to count the individual pitches of the tone row. In this case, and this is already on your homework, in this case, the workbook has already given you 2 rows to look for. They've given you the prime form starting on B flat and the prime form starting on G. As a reminder, what are the 4, or as a refresher review, what are the 4 types of rows that we experience, or 4 iterations of the row that we experience? There's prime, retrograde, which is what? Backwards, right? And I heard inverse, which is when all of the intervals are their complement, right? So all the intervals are inverted. And then the last one is retrograde inversion, which is both backwards and inverted, right? Great. Let's listen to this piece. Wrong word. I have a timestamp for this one. Okay. Here we go. Let's repeat that. This is what 12-tone music sounds like, right? 12-tone music eschews tonality, it eschews a tonal center, a little bit ripping going to fall in. The workbook has given us two row forms here. The prime form starting on B flat and the prime form starting on G. Now, let's count this prime B flat row. So, we're looking first for a B flat. Do we see that anywhere? Yeah, the first note, right? And we're going to call that 1. The next note is A. Is it adjacent? Indeed, it's the next melodic note. Continuing, the next note we're looking for is C, and that's also our next note here. It isn't always. The next note's B. Okay, that checks out. 4. And our next note's E flat. Uh-oh. This is not an E flat. So we have our first 4 pitches, B flat, A, C, B natural, and the next pitch is E flat, but it's not in the violin. So where is it? What a compliment. Yes.
Cello?
In the cello, that's a D sharp. But we're dealing with inharmonic equivalence, right? As we do in post-tonal music. Therefore, we've transferred this row down to the cello. Oh, I'll just spoil it there for us. Okay. And then the next note, E natural, is indeed in the cello. The C sharp is also in the cello. The D natural is in the cello. The F sharp is back in the violin. But how are we so sure that's the right F sharp? If we're in a situation where we're looking at rows moving between instruments, how do we know that one's the F sharp? Well, we can test the following notes and see if they are still part of the row form, just to be sure. So we look for F sharp, and that would be 9. F would be 10. A flat would be 11, and G would be 12. And there we found all 12 notes of the prime form of the row starting on B flat. Does that make sense? Yes?
So why would the D natural be 8 and the F sharp be 9? Why would it be 4? Why wouldn't the F sharp be 8 and the D natural be 9?
Are you suggesting because the first note here, the higher note was the first note here? And then here we're saying the lower note's the first note? Okay, so this is 66 measures into the piece. At this point, the row form has already been established. So at this point, we're not hunting to define a row anymore, we're hunting to identify rows. And we've already determined that in this row, D is first and then F sharp is next. Therefore, we say that D is 8 and F sharp is 9. Make sense? That's the same reason why we can jump from here to here, because we already know the row. We've already figured it out. Make sense? So now, let's find the other one. And you're going to have to read some alto clef. Okay, so our next row is P, G. Hey, PG. All right? Let's find this row. Take a moment to find it and count it on your own, and then we'll do it as a class. Not too difficult, right? Because we're looking at the notes that are left. We're only looking at the notes that are left. And a lot of time, this is how a 12 count works. This is how analyzing a serial piece works. Once you sort of eliminated some notes that aren't possible, you're left with what can become a very clear row form. So our G is here, F sharp, A, G sharp. We've got these 4 notes. Then we transition to C, C is 5, C sharp is 6, B flat is 7, D natural is 8, and then back down to the viola, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And to make things a little bit easier, let's highlight these. In the colors that I put. A little bit into it, I'm going to do that one. A little better. Listen to this again. Okay. It's a bit easier to understand when we know the row forms are there. But still tough to hear. It's not a skill I expect you to have to just pick out row forms orally, by the way. That's tough for anybody. But there's more we can do with this, because row forms are really interesting. Row forms, or rows for 12-tone pieces, they often have a lot hidden in them. And this one has some interesting things hidden in them. And for that, we'll look at the next one. So Strauss wants us to write the ordered and unordered pitch class intervals and find any patterns. Remind me what an ordered pitch class interval and an unordered pitch class interval are. Yes?
The ordered pitch class intervals where, like, you know, if you have the clock face, we have to go clockwise, like, we're basically in ascending order of the interval, and unordered is where, like, the closest, I think.
The shortest distance
Yeah,
between
the
2
shortest
intervals
distance,
on the
yeah.
clock face. Excellent, great job. She's correct, right? Absolutely, she's correct. Okay, so let's go for the ordered pitch class intervals first. B flat to A. Yeah, 11, right? And then A to C, 3, C to B, B to E flat. Yeah, 4, right? Yeah, it's B to D sharp, but phrased weird, strangely. E flat to E natural, 1. E to C sharp. Yeah, 9, right? Yeah. C sharp to D, D to F sharp, 4, F sharp to F, 11, F to A flat to G, 11. Those are the ordered pitch class intervals. Let's do the unordered pitch class intervals. B flat to A to C, C to B, B to E flat to E, E to C sharp, C to D, D to F sharp to F, F to A flat to G. Okay, y'all are pretty good at those. Good job. Okay, are there any patterns that we see here that have emerged in either the ordered pitch class intervals or the unordered pitch class intervals? In both kind of, right? Here we have 1 3 1 4, 1 3 1 4, 1 3 1. And then here we have 11 3 11 4, 1 9 1 4, 11 3 11. Not quite as pretty of a pattern as the unordered pitch class intervals. So the answer to the next question, what interval class appears most frequently in the row? What is that? hear someone say 1. There's 4 11s and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ones. But if we look just at this second row, if you're going to consider just one of the 2 rows, the unordered pitch class intervals is probably more important. For reasons we can talk about in a bit. Okay, so these first 4 notes, there's more hidden here. There's more hidden here. And Strauss gives it away. But these first 4 notes are a little bit special. Anyone know what makes these notes special? No. No, it's not. Okay. You had me almost. It's close. Anyone know what these 4 notes specifically special? You all took music history 1, correct? Well, are taking it. Well, sometimes B is not B, but sometimes in specifically German, B is sometimes instead called H. Who said that? H. And instead of B flat, normally instead of B flat we say in German instead B. B. So, if you sort of replace these here with that, we have B, A, C, H. A very famous Bach motive. And you know who loved to use this motive? Bach. Bach actually used to love to use this motive to sign pieces. And then other composers followed suit. Shostakovich and Schoenberg both had chords that they used to sign their names. But B, A, C, H. And of course the prime form for this set is 0, 1, 2, 3, right? 4. And if you look, beautiful chord, right? If you look, I'm going to change colors here. What about these 4 notes? What's the prime form for those 4 notes? Don't think too hard on this one. Yeah, it sounds like this. 0, 1, 2, 3. Also, they're all also completely adjacent chromatically. And do I have to ask what the last one's going to be? I'm sorry. Also 0, 1, 2, 3. So this row form is just 3 transpositions of the famous Bach motive. Who knew we were talking about Baroque music today, right? So this row form hides in it this famous Bach motive 3 times. In fact, the first thing you heard is that motive, just sort of at various octaves. Pretty cool, right? I think that's cool. Of course, the book gives it away on the next idea. But I wanted to see if I can see it. Okay, does that make sense? I'm not getting a lot of confirmation that it makes sense here. Are there questions about the process we just did? I'm suspecting you're hoping for a little bit more practice right now. Yes. So let's do it. Try this. Do a 12 count here. This one is a bit tougher, but I encourage you to, well, let's have a little bit of a preliminary talk on it. We have chords in clusters, right? And I'll tell you that chords in clusters can often encompass a range of a row. I'll just put it that way. I'll also give you the hint that B flat is indeed here, but you won't find F either here or here or here or there. And it's not this F. Start there. Take a moment to work on this, and then we'll kind of talk about it halfway through. pause for a second. Let's talk about the first four, just so we make sure we're all in the same place here. Where's the F? Where's the next pitch? Right below it. It occurs simultaneously. And then where's the C? Additionally, right below it, in the B natural, also right there. Okay. Now, this is possible. Now you know this is possible. This is something composers do. And you might ask yourself, how do we know this is the row for simultaneous? We have more of the piece to look at. Continue going, and I'm going to play the piece for you so we can continue this a little more meaningfully. Beautiful. Keep going with this prime form in B flat. How are we doing? Pretty good? Shall we discuss the answer? A lot of confirmation that we should. Okay. So continuing, where's the A? Here, right? And then the F sharp? The top of that chord. And the next C sharp? In the middle of that chord. And the E flat, also known as D sharp, is in this. So in this harmony, the pitches were just descending. In this one, they no longer were simply descending or ascending. Okay, and then G, top note of the next chord, A flat, the bottom note of that chord, D, also right beside it, and the E natural right there. Okay, does that make sense? Yes? Thank you. Thanks. Okay, now that should make sense. Okay, other questions about that? Okay. Well, now, that doesn't really account for all of the pitches that we have. We need to find a few more row forms for this. So, take a look at these four notes. This next chord. We have three row forms given to us in the top here. The book says the prime form starting on B flat, the retrograde prime form which ends on B flat, and the retrograde inversion which ends on E flat. To which row does this chord belong, this next chord? To which row does that belong? And this is kind of what the process is like. Take a guess to which row does this belong? Raise your hand whenever you have an answer. Yes? The retrograded version starting on E flat?
Yes.
What's your rationale?
Because the F sharp is not important. I mean, what would you be starting from the right or the left?
So, you start counting these from this side. However,
Okay.
you label them 12, 11, 10, 9.
Okay.
How you label them. But you start counting from this side.
Okay.
So what you've done is you've seen, okay, well the four notes we have are F, F sharp, A, and B. Triple F? Yes, F, F
Yeah.
sharp, A, and B. And you've said, you looked here and said, well, sometimes they're in ascending order, sometimes they're not in ascending order. And you said, okay, so whatever row has the first four notes as some combination of F, F sharp, A, and B. And you determined correctly that it is indeed the retrograde inversion here. Does that make sense? You all follow that? Are there questions about this so far? Okay. Oops. Oh no. We got secrets revealed. Oh, never mind. You almost saw the next piece. Okay. So this is going to be we're starting on 12. Technical difficulties. Starting on 12. Let's point to these. A is 12, B is 11, F is 10, F sharp is 9. Does that make sense? And let's see, I can probably just zoom in a little far here. Oh no, which one's F sharp? So it's A is 12. It's not doing this. Okay. Does that make sense? Why don't you continue looking at the next ones on your own? But once we start a row, you're most likely continuing the row. So we're hoping that the next chord has E, G, C, and B flat in it. And if we look at this next chord happens rhythmically, we see E, G, C, and B flat. This would then, of course, be 10, 9, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Right? And we're hoping the next four notes would be D, C sharp, A flat, and E flat. And indeed they are D, C sharp, okay, yeah, C sharp, G sharp, which is equivalent to A flat, and D sharp, which is equivalent to E flat, correct? Does that make sense? For your homework, you'll finish this. And on your homework, you're going to have to also find the next couple of rows. You have a few questions to answer. This version's missing highlights, but on Blackboard, I assure you, there are highlights. And if there's any confusion about that, just please message me so we can get it taken care of immediately. But I checked to make sure that the Blackboard version has the highlights. You're not going to answer most of the additional questions, but I am going to have you practice doing 12 counts in a lot of these. I have to warn you, number 4 is the trickiest one. And it has to do with the fact that some notes repeat. And they don't repeat how you'd expect them to repeat. But it's okay. You're going to have something unorthodox on this one. We'll certainly discuss it in class next time. But I want to see how we do on this. Self-discovery is a fantastic webinar. Also, this particular piece is a bit of a rite of passage because, we've all analyzed and hated this piece at some point. And it's your turn. I'm mostly joking. Okay, let's listen to this one more time to see if we can hear our row forms or hear we analyze it all, and we will move on. Okay. And I'm not kidding when I say fantastic music, something you should certainly listen to the entire piece. Okay, other questions? Good, understandable? Digestible? Great. Cool. That's great. That's awesome. Let's move on now to, well, a piece that, so I wanted to choose a piece for you all because we have to ask ourselves, why are we learning 12-tone serialism? Why are we learning set theory? Why are we learning these chords? And the answer, of course, is analysis. But sometimes that doesn't really go so far. So I thought maybe I'll show this class how I have used analytical skills we've learned in this class on a piece that I've performed, and we're going to listen to me perform this. If you're okay with this. So, the idea is like any other piece. We're going to listen to a portion of it from 5 years ago. Oh gosh. This feels like yesterday. We're going to do a portion of it, and then we're going to do the same thing we do for any other analysis. What's important to know for the performer? What are the sort of bits and pieces that make up this piece? Let's listen to a portion of this. So, any trombone players heard of that piece? No one? So, this is actually a pretty well-known piece for bass trombone. I lament the fact that a well-known piece for us is known by nobody. But this is by Tomasi, 20th century composer, French composer. And anyone able to translate that title? Anyone speak French in here? Yes? To be or not to be. This is a musical drama that sort of reenacts the famous monologue from Hamlet, to be or not to be. So, what do we think some of the analytical or important things to focus on? If we're analyzing this, what can we first look to focus on? Because normally you might look at measure one, beat one, and say, okay, what chord is this? Right? but this is a bit tougher. Anything stick out as something we can immediately grasp onto? What about the chord on measure 1, beat 1? Right? Let's look at that. Let's look at that. So, our three notes are what? A, C, and G sharp. And is that a chord that we know off the top of our heads? I'm sorry?
I said A minor, delta 7, A, C.
Yes, in jazz terminology here, A minor with a major seventh. Yeah, absolutely. We can call this an A minor seventh chord, except it has a major seventh, the minor major seventh. That's one term for it. Is there another term for this? Let's look. We have our three notes, A, C, and G sharp. G sharp. And if we were to find the prime form for this, the normal order for this, it would fit in nicely into G sharp, A, C. This is the smallest outside interval. And if we reduce this to 0, what prime form do we get? 0, 1, 4. Our prime form for this chord is 0, 1, 4. Okay, so which one is more accurate? 0, 1, 4 or A minor chord with the major seventh? Well, don't be so quick to assume that that is better. It is better. But it depends on the rest of the language. It depends on the rest of the piece's harmonic, melodic language. And we as music theorists are detectives. We are looking through clues. Yes. We're looking through clues to find the best answers for what we're looking for. And in this case, we're trying to get a sort of grasp on how to analyze it. Now, do we see that 0, 1, 4 chord anywhere else? Pretty clearly, it happens here again. So this must be important. It must be important. 0, 1, 4, again. This melody is scary. Let's not tackle the melody yet. Okay, we have another chord right here. We can latch onto that, right? We can use that as something easy to look at. And just for fun, or not for fun actually, just for good measure, I like to mark down the sets that are important in a piece that I'm analyzing. If 0, 1, 4 is the first chord shown in the piece, it's probably pretty important. Just like you assume the first note's tonic. It's a guess. Okay, we have B, E, and A sharp. I'm going to translate that to pitch classes. B is, E is, A sharp is 10. Let's find the normal order for this. Let's see. Between 11 and 10, the interval is 11. Between 4 and 11, the interval is 7. Between 10 and 4, the interval is 6. So which one of these is the normal order? 10, 11, 4, right? 10, 11, 4. The prime form of 10, 11, 4 is better known as 0, 1, 6. And we know that because we're taking these three pitch classes and we're reducing them to 0, like you've done a million times already. 0, 1, 6. So, another important pitch class, or prime form. 0, 1, 6. Do we see 0, 1, 6 anywhere else? That's a question we need to ask ourselves. And sometimes it's immediately obvious. Other times it's definitely not. Well, let's test some other chords. C, F, and B. That's the tritone with an internal half step. Also 0, 1, 6. Here, we have B natural, A sharp, and E. I recognize that one. Also 0, 1, 6. Here we have C, D flat, F sharp. Also 0, 1, 6. So all 4 of these chords are 0, 1, 6. Let's see if the pencil left on. Yes. All 4 of these chords are 0, 1, 6. I'm starting to think that a set analysis of this might be useful. Perhaps more useful than a Roman numeral analysis. You starting to see what I'm saying? Okay. Let's continue. Let's look at this measure. And to be clear, often I'll first look at harmony and see what important harmonies there are. And then I'll check for some of these in the melody, and I'll see if some of those are present melodically. But I like harmony a lot because we can latch onto it, and it's something we're familiar with. A sharp, B, E. That sound familiar? It should. I played it about 5 times now. 0, 1, 6. Right? Yeah, 0, 1, 6. It's also 0, 1, 6. G, B, D. That sounds familiar. What is that? Technically 0, 3, 7, but it's just G major. It's just G major. A lot of times, you can certainly call this 0, 3, 7 because the prime form of a major chord and a minor chord are both 0, 3, 7. But I want to think this is a major chord because look at my part. Look at the note that I have. What's that? What does that D flat do to that chord? I think it does 2 things. What? An answer over here? No wrong answer. We're guessing here. We're guessing class. Split fifth, right? How many of you saw that but thought it might be wrong? Because we're in set theory world now, right? When you're actually analyzing a piece, we're only in one land. Sometimes the best answer is G major with a split fifth. Sometimes the best answer is an A minor sort of with a major seventh. Sometimes the best answer is 0, 1, 6. What I'm trying to show you is we have the tools to analyze many more pieces with the tools we're given in post-tonal analysis. Often, many post-tonal pieces will be pretty analyzable with Roman numerals that you've learned in theory 1 through 3, and sometimes there won't be. There's something else that D flat does to that G major chord. It kind of brings this set class out. And just, does that sound familiar? 0, 1, 6. It turns this G major chord into 0, 1, 6 with the division out there. So I think we can see how this composer has said, not major, not minor, 0, 1, 6 is the chord I'm going to use commonly, right? Does that make sense? Can we listen to it and see if we hear that? I think we should. It's also a good recording. Again. Perhaps there's some cohesiveness to this now, and perhaps if I was to be playing this piece and rehearsing the trombones and telling them what to do, it might be really good if I knew that all 4, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these chords were the same. Can we agree on that? The same way it helps to know if the Roman numerals for chord progression. It helps to know the set classes we're dealing with. There's 3 more things I want to show you in the 4 minutes we have left. Let's zoom in on this. Those 3 notes are C sharp, D, and F. You want to figure the prime form of that one? That's the normal order. 0, 1 what? 0, 1, 4. Have we seen that before? Yeah, I think we've seen 0, 1, 4 before. Right there, right? Is that a coincidence? Absolutely not. It is absolutely not a coincidence that the melody is using 0, 1, 4, and the harmony is also using 0, 1, 4 there. They're different transpositions, but they're the same set class at different levels. The second thing I want to ask you, a good way to start looking at melody is what scale is this? And do we have an idea what scale this might be? Let's look at this. You want to test for whole tone scale? Is it a whole tone scale, or do you see a half step somewhere? There's a half step somewhere. Is it an octonic scale, or do you see 2 half steps in a row somewhere? F sharp G, not octonic. What scale is this? Don't overthink this one. It's just a chromatic scale. All but 1 or 2 notes are there. It's just a chromatic scale. There is more to look at if you analyze this. D, E flat, G sharp. It's also 0, 1, 6, the first 3 notes. Or 0, 1, 6. And the next motives are actually important later on in the piece. Oh, also, C, F sharp is just 0, 1, 6 as well, those last 3 notes there. So we have actually a lot of 0, 1, 6 in this melody. Is this convincing? A little bit, perhaps? So we listen one last time and then call it a day? That's the beginning. Thank you all. Hopefully, we're going to do more of this. Next Monday, Ara is going to be here. Everyone will be in large section. Everyone needs to be here so we can enjoy the show that Ara is going to give us. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you. I appreciate all the work you put in. If you have any questions, as always, please let me know.